Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I just wanted to provide you a little bit of an update for this murder investigation that's going on in Moscow, Idaho. If you haven't seen my first original video, I'm going to link it, one of these places up here. You can take a look at it on the card after you're done, or wait to the very end and I'll put it at the very end so you can get my breakdown of what's going on so far. But I wanted to break it down on what happened today. Today is the 20th of November. And there's some new information out. A lot of it is like squashing some rumors that have been going around and floating around on some of these other sites. So I'm going to break down just a few of the highlights I took away from the updates today. The chief talked, some people from Idaho State Police talked, and basically they're being vigilant. They're all working together, which is great. The more security on the campus, which is great. But let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty as far as the investigation is concerned. They did confirm that the 911 call came from inside the house, and the thing that I really picked up today was that it was on the phone of a surviving roommate. So it's one of the other two roommates' phones. It wasn't one of the victims. They also verified they were likely all asleep during the attack, and some had defensive wounds. They didn't say all, they said some, and that each victim was stabbed multiple times. So they did say that. They did release a diagram of where they're canvassing the area, where they're focusing a lot of their attention for video surveillance or witnesses. So they've kind of picked out this different area that they want to be focusing on. Now they've squashed some misinformation that's been out there that people have been speculating about. The two surviving roommates are not suspect. He basically said, quote, "We do not believe the following individuals are involved in this crime." They gave one, the surviving roommates are not suspects. They've ruled them out. A male seen at the Grubhub, or the Grub truck, the food vendor that was in a white hoodie, he has been ruled out and not involved in this crime. The private party that drove Kaylee Madison home is not involved. The identity of the caller of the 911 call has not been released to anybody, so that call is not out anywhere. Another rumor was they were not tied and gagged. Also, detectives seized contents of 3 dumpsters. They looked for a bunch of evidence in there, and basically nothing of note was found. So that's been ruled out as far as gathering any information. They also did canvass a bunch of businesses in the city and other places, looking for anybody that may have purchased a knife that they think may match the murder weapon, and nothing of note at this time as far as the investigation is concerned, and they still have not located a weapon. It went into a little bit of Q&A. There's some questions that were asked by some of the reporters, and I took a couple things away from that as well, because the investigators had said this was a targeted event, targeted murder. And so one of the reporters asked, well, why is it targeted? What is it targeted on? One of the 4 individuals? Is there somebody that's more targeted than the others? And the other 3 were just victims of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He would not say. The chief would not say. He just said, based on the totality of the circumstances, which is what we use in law enforcement, is taking everything into account. Statements, evidence, witnesses, everything. The totality says it leads them to believe it was targeted. And they're holding that near and dear to them, and I don't blame them. So we'll find out more when that comes out, and they don't jeopardize the investigation, which is fine by me. The 911 call came from the roommate's phone. We know that. I'm not going to say who made the call. Somebody asked that question. And so one of the reporters said, was the killer the 911 caller? And he said, no, the 911 caller was not the killer. Also, there was a guy, I think his name was Jake, that the girls were calling or texting back and forth. That rumor was out there. And they asked if he's been ruled out as a suspect or person of interest. And the chief basically said, everything we've gotten to this point, all the tips and all the information, we followed up on and ruled anybody out as being connected. So that kind of lumps him in that as well. One of the reporters said, you're not confirming the roommate called 911, but used the roommate's phone. Was there someone else in the home besides the 2 roommates? The chief answered, there were other friends that had arrived at the location. So that is new information, that there is other people that arrived at the location. He didn't say when, what time that may have been. Could have been 4 a.m, could have been 11:57 before the 911 call came out. He didn't say, he doesn't know. Oh, somebody asked, do you think it's done by one perpetrator? And he says, we can't disclose that information. We're still investigating, which is fine. They're going to take all that information and make a ruling on that. And there was another question about which victims are on which floor, and he would not elaborate on the floor of the victims itself. So that was all the new information we have besides the ones that I talked about in my other video, which you're going to see at the end of this video. So I'll try to keep you updated as I can as new information comes out. And we just pray for these families and peace for this city, and pray that the investigators are doing a great job and they start making some headway and bringing these people to justice. So thanks again for tuning in. You guys have been great. And as always, leave a comment, and I'll try to answer every one that I can. All right. Take care, guys.